welcome to the channel. Really? Kaz. My apologies, silly dog. Alright. So, let's get started. ZMO. Alright. We're going to be creating a custom episode. This episode is going to be based on Back to the Future. I'm hoping everyone likes it. Alright. Now, all of my quips I've researched and preset just to expedite this. If anybody does pop in, feel free to comment in the chat as to any suggestions you might have of a quip that we could use, and I certainly consider it, especially if it doesn't kind of double up on anything we already got. So with our first quip, let's just fix that real quick. Change that. There we go. So, Marty's reaction when his kiss with Jennifer is interrupted by the Save the Clock Tower lady. So she runs up to them as they're about to kiss and shoves a metal can and asks them for a donation towards saving the clock tower, because the mayor would like to take it down and replace it since it has not worked in the past 30 years. Now our next prompt is a quote by Doc. If my calculations are correct, when this baby hits 88 miles per hour, you're gonna see some... and I don't actually remember what the rest of the quote is. They processed a lot of information today, so... Alright, next is another quote from Doc. The way I see it, if you're gonna build a time machine into a car, why not? And I believe the rest of the quote is, do it with style. But we're gonna leave that up to the players to fill that in and make it way, way more interesting. Alright. Our next quote comes from a member of Biff's gang named Skinhead. And he says, "Hey Biff, get a load of this guy's life preserver. The dork thinks he's gonna," and I believe the rest of it is drown. But life preserver looking puffy vest. Could be interesting, could be dumb. 64 questions is a lot to figure out. Yeah, most of this hasn't been too spoiler-ish, but just as a warning, if nobody's actually watched the movie, I don't know why you haven't watched it at this point, but go and see it. I believe it's on at least one of the streaming possibilities. Might actually be... is it on Disney? Not sure. Don't quote me. Okay, so, but spoiler warning aside, to leave now or prepare to be spoiled. So, Marty discovers Doc's gigantic amplifier. He hooks up and strums a note. What happens? In the actual movie, he blows the amp. The amp is about 7-8 feet tall, and it throws him across the room and does a lot of damage to Doc's garage. Okay. Our next... yeah, so describe the look on Marty's face as he digests when the hell Einstein and the DeLorean have gone to as they are out by the mall and conducting the beginning of the test. quote. Just after Marty hops in the car and arrives in 1955, what is currently the mall used to be Old Man Peabody's farm. And as the DeLorean lands and drives in, he runs over a pine tree. And Old Man Peabody shouts at Marty, "You space bastard, you killed my pines!" But I'm pretty sure most of you guys can come up with something better than pines. That will be Quiplash worthy. Alright. What would Goldie Wilson have gone on to be if Marty hadn't blurted out that he would be mayor one day? Because as soon as Marty blurted that out when he recognized Goldie, Goldie started daydreaming about the possibilities of what that actually could be. Alright, our next prompt is... Marty meets his attractive teenage mother who immediately makes advances on him. What does he do? Yeah, I don't need to say anything about that. That's pretty wide open. Okay. I like this one. This one is purely my own creation. And it is based on Marty's Uncle Joey. The title of a storybook that might be in Uncle Joey's crib. So when Marty arrives in 1955, he meets his grandparents and his aunts and uncles, and Uncle Joey, who is the present-day jailbird and constantly in jail, doesn't like being taken out of his crib. So, what kind of book do you think would be in his crib for him to read and then through? Alright. Doc's reaction to learning that Ronald Reagan will be president in 1985. Prior to being president, Ronald Reagan was an actor, and that's when television presence of public figures really started to take action rather than just, movies and, general news, stuff like that. It really started picking up going into that, so... Doc wasn't very impressed that an actor had become a president. I'm not American, so I don't know much more about Ronald Reagan than that he was the president. Constantly through the movie, Marty repeatedly uses the term heavy. Define heavy. Doc can't quite figure it out. So, we're going to help Doc out and we'll define heavy for him. Alright, what George McFly is thinking when Marty blurts out, "Jesus, George, it's a wonder I was even born." Because that kind of statement makes no sense to George, because George doesn't know that he is Marty's dad. Alright, so we keep going. Goldie comes upon Biff and the gang after they have slammed into the manure truck. He takes one whiff and says... I don't actually remember what he says. But that's the whole point of Quiplash, is we fill in what might be there, what might not be there. Okay, oh good. Good to know. Apparently I just discovered how much space I can actually use, which means some of my prompts are going to be a little bit long going forward, but that's part of the first thing here. Alright, so Marty trips Biff in the cafe. Though scared at Biff's size, he distracts him by pointing over Biff's shoulders. Then he... and what does he do? He ultimately tricks Biff and shoves him and runs away. But What do you think he might do? To the point of, we'll get you a lot of Quiplash points. Alright. What lovesick Lorraine says when Marty trips and tricks Biff in the cafe. So, just follow up of the previous question. Obviously, they may not show up in the same episode at all. But Lorraine just is completely enthralled with Marty, and that action just causes him even more trouble. Okay, almost lost my mic there, but oops. Okay, let's try that again. So, they go to the dance at the school. Marty gets up and plays Johnny Be Good on the stage. And so, name a rock song that Marty could have played on the stage at the dance. That's not Johnny Be Good. Okay. Keep moving along. Yeah, I'm really hoping people like this. Oh, okay. Let's see. The only problem with this is the amount of space provided. So, as Marty is departing from his parents after the dance, says to them, if you have a kid that sets fire to the living room accidentally, you should go easy on them. But we're not going to be that easy, and we will provide much more interesting statements than going easy on Marty. We're not going to go easy on that question. Alright, another quote here. So we've got a few quotes. Marty in 1955 runs into Strickland, who is currently his principal back in 1985, and he says, "Hey, that's Strickland. Jesus, didn't that guy ever have hair?" But, again, let's make it interesting, folks. Alright, I'm going to continue on. Alright, as George is getting bullied by Biff, Strickland walks up and removes a sign that was taped to George's back by Biff, and what does it say? The original sign said, "Kick me." But, again, it's good, but I'm sure we can all make that better during a game. Marty's response to Doc's observation, "What did your mom ever see in that kid?" of George. Because at the time, George, at the beginning of the movie, is pretty wishy-washy, doesn't really have a backbone, and the only reason, spoiler alert, 2, 3, 4, 5, that they, the only reason they got together was because Lorraine's dad ran into him when he fell out of a tree. Alright. So at the school, Marty peers into the classroom window and observes his mother doing what during class? She was cheating on a test. But fun in the movie, boring for Quiplash. So we will make that way more interesting as to what she could have been doing during class. Alright, next one. Doc asks Marty, what do your parents like to do for fun? Marty's response was, they don't. And because his dad was so wishy-washy and his mom just really wasn't that interesting, they didn't really go out and have fun. Alright, in Doc's complicated words, the enchanted under-the-sea dance is I believe he said a ceremonial ritual something. But again, let's have some fun. Use some big words, some little words, silly words. Alrighty. Next quip. George approaches Lorraine and declares, my destiny is... and I believe something along the lines of pretty much to marry you or to be with you. But George has a lot of trouble getting that statement out. And it doesn't initially go very well for him. Strickland warns Marty that Doc is a dangerous nutcase, and if he continues hanging out with him, he's just gonna get into more trouble. But yeah, we can do better. Yeah, Strickland really had it in for Marty. No McFly ever amounted to anything in the history of Hill Valley. You know what? We should maybe make that a little bit bigger. So let's see here. Ever. Oh. Put a double blank there. No McFly ever blanked to blank in the history of Hill Valley. So hopefully that gives us a little more working room. Sometimes one blank just isn't enough. Alright. In 1985, Lorraine said to Marty, any girl who calls a boy is just asking for, I believe it's trouble. I might be wrong. Like I said, I was poring over this stuff, researching it, trying to get enough questions and going back and forth over the information that I had. Okay. This is where we went back to his arrival in 1955. Peabody's thoughts when he sees Marty emerge from the DeLorean in a yellow radiation suit. He basically thought he was an alien coming to get him. Marty discovers teenage George up a tree looking through binoculars. What does George see? George was looking through Lorraine's window watching her undress. And this was a story that he never ever told his children. So that was a interesting reveal from Marty about his father. What does Doc determine about Marty when he hooks him up to the thought reader? And said that he came from a long distance and that he wanted Doc to donate to the Navy or the Coast Guard or the other. Alright. What type of stories does George write during his spare time? stories he does actually write are fantasy stories. And Marty uses that to his advantage later on. And it does come into play in the future when Marty finally makes it there, but okay. Marty escapes Biff, whose car then runs into a truck which dumps its load of blank on Biff and his gang. Obviously, that is the truck that had manure in it. And they all screamed. But let's fill the truck with something else. Because, hey, we can. I need to fix that. My controller keeps turning off. That's... oh, that might be a problem. Yeah, let's fix that real quick. Oh. Alright, hopefully that's better. I have my controller set to turn off every 10 minutes. So, may have lost some chatter the last couple steps. Okay, halfway through. To get Lorraine to fall for him, George is to save her from Marty before the dance after Marty pretends to... and he's supposed to pretend to assault her, but he actually doesn't get the chance. As Biff comes along and interrupts that plan. What are two bad habits Lorraine has in 1955 that Marty warned she might regret? And she liked her booze, and she liked to smoke. And I believe when he returns to the future that she has actually stopped those two habits, which just generally helps the well-being of Marty's life. Uh-oh. Okay. Then again, we ran out of space. Gotta get that question mark in there. Okay. As they arrive at the dance, Lorraine kisses Marty hard on the lips. Afterwards, she admits it felt like kissing what? I believe she said it felt like kissing her brother. In reality, she was kissing her son. Okay, oh, really? That one actually fit? Why didn't the other ones fit? Interesting. Okay. After a weak attempt defending Lorraine, George is angered by Biff's treatment of Lorraine. He summons his strength and clocks him a big one. But we can do more than throw punches. Alrighty, and we continue. Question number 38. Not that the count on the screen really gives you much info, but we are at 38 now. Marty begins to blank until his parents secure his fate with their first kiss. Marty was beginning to kind of flutter, disappear. Wasn't really a solid form. But once they kissed, his reality completely solidified. Oh no. Okay. Let's see. So originally I was going to put Marty finishes an over-the-top guitar solo. But I can't. Without losing the end of the prompt. So, a little bit of editing. Marty finishes guitar solo. The crowd just stares. I guess you're not ready for that, but your kids are gonna love it. Or do something else with it. You be the judge of that. And off we go. Refusing to know too much about his future, Doc rips up the note from Marty that he finds in his pocket. And eventually glues it back together, finding out key information to save his life. Spoiler. The DeLorean materializes and slams into the porno theater. The homeless bum mutters. I want to kind of change that one, because I do want this to be somewhat family friendly. I was actually surprised how much swearing and bad words were kind of in this. I'm trying to think when I was actually first allowed to watch this, how young I was. I'm going to assume most of that actually went right over my head. Interesting fact, the homeless bum is actually Red Thomas, who was the mayor in 1955. Doc returns to the present and fills his new Mr. Fusion engine with what for fuel? Now he actually fills it with garbage, but let's get creative. Oh, okay. Let's see what we can do. We're a little bit short. I need enough room for a blank or at least 3 dots. So, I'm trying to make perfect sentences. Should do. Marty worries there isn't enough road to hit 88 miles per hour. Doc scoffs. Roads? We don't need roads. The car converts into a hovercraft. The wheels turn up on their sides, going horizontal within the wheel wells. The car slowly lifts, becoming airborne, and they shoot off into the sky. I think they got a bit of that wrong. We haven't quite reached that point yet. Alright. Marty sees Doc get shot for the second time. But Doc sits up and reveals he put on a bulletproof vest to save his own life, but could have done some other really cool things. So, question 45. Marty asks Doc about the consequences of changing the future. Doc admits, well, I thought, and I do not remember what he thought. And that's okay, because you guys will come up with something else. Okay, 46. After coming back to the future, Marty wakes up to discover what changed. In actuality, his house furniture had moved around, been updated. His brother had a better job. His sister was super popular with the boys. His parents actually did things and played tennis, and his father had become an author. And his family was in a much better place and quite happy. Okay. Why are the Libyans after Doc? They are actually after Doc because he had them steal plutonium for him to supposedly make a bomb for them. And instead he ran off with the plutonium and made them a fake bomb, which made them a little mad. Spelling error. Alright. Actually, you know what? Let's just do that quickly. Just correcting this quickly to make... Yeah, okay, that's better. Alright, while waiting for the lightning to strike, a tree branch falls and disconnects the cable running to the clock tower. But hey, we can make it interesting, and something random could suddenly fall out of the sky. It is Back to the Future. He time traveled. Anything is possible. 49. At the dance, Marty is pulled out of the car by Biff. Biff's gang then takes Marty behind the school and tosses him in the trunk of Marvin Berry's car. But they could have done something else to him as well, so I'll let you guys answer that. Again, like, I'm not quite sure. I guess it's the type of letters that's going on here. So my prompts in my preset prepared notes, I have it done so that it kind of tells me where I need to stop typing to make it fit. This one went over, but it fit fine. Okay, Doc reappears, jumping out in strange clothing. He declares he needs Marty and Jennifer to help fix what in the future. The problem is they're kids. They have to go fix their kids because their kids are apparently out of control. Okay. In the adjusted 1985, Biff now works for George. What is Biff's job? Biff's job is actually, he works for an automotive repair shop, detailing, and at the time he is supposed to be doing a double wax job on George's BMW. In the original present of 1985, Biff was the boss and was still making George do his homework. What is a change that Marty sees in his parents when he returns to the future? So, just playing again on the same question before of what's changed. There's lots of space for that, so more than likely those two questions won't end up in the same spot. Worst case, I can fix it. Marty's reaction when he realizes he is only in his underwear in Lorraine's bedroom. And to the point that she called him Calvin Klein because his branding on the underwear was existing. Yeah, again, this one went over my parameters, but it fits. So, to convince George to ask Lorraine out, Marty puts on the radiation suit and claims he is Darth Vader from the planet Vulcan. I'm curious if George put those pieces of information actually into the book that he wrote. To make the flux capacitor work, Doc requires what hard... I'm not sure what that's supposed to say. That is definitely the wrong question. make the flux capacitor work, Doc requires what? Oh. What hard to get? Oh, okay. Okay, my brain was not working. Apparently I'm tired and probably need to go to bed soon. To make the flux capacitor work, Doc requires what hard to get fuel, which would be the plutonium that he has the libyans to get. What was Doc doing when he hit his head that resulted in the idea of the flux capacitor? Doc was putting a clock up in his bathroom. He hit his head and the thought of the flux capacitor was born. But hanging up a clock is kind of boring, so we'll make that better. Speaking of the flux capacitor, rename it. Make it interesting. Okay. Almost done. Question 58. What does the DeLorean plow through as it appears on the Peabody's farm? It actually plows through a scarecrow and then into the barn. And on the way out, it runs over the pine tree. But the scarecrow is the first thing. Make it interesting. Question 59. Why did Doc build the time machine out of a DeLorean? Part of it was for the metal and the style. Typo. The DeLorean disappears in a trail of flames as the tires were burning red hot. What does Marty think happened to Einstein? Let me check. Let's just double checking. I thought I had a question about Einstein everywhere. Question is, where is it? Maybe not. Okay. Just in. That's why I gotta be careful. I don't want to double up things too much if I can help it. What saves Marty from the Libyans? I believe the gun jams. But we can save Marty some other way. Okay, question 62. The Libyans stole the plutonium for Doc because he promised what? To make them a bomb with it. And he failed on that promise and he came to kill him. Oh, last question. Left one open space, but that's okay. I think we did pretty good here. His mom's seemingly strict when it comes to dating. Marty fears his mom was born a nun. Which, yeah, considering all her advances as a teenager on Marty, definitely not a nun. But that might just because that's how she acted and she's trying to protect him from any girl that could possibly act that way. Who knows? Alright, so we're at 63. Short one question. But at this point, I think we've gotten enough material here that everybody should have a good time with it. So we're going to hit done. And we're going to publish this. Read and share. Alright, so if you've made it all the way through the video, here is your code. BGV-WJET that code will work on PS4, PC, and Xbox. Basically, any form of Jackbox.tv, you will be able to play this episode. I hope you enjoy it. Definitely, I need to get some stuff set up, but I do have Discord. Let me see here if I can find it real quick. And this will be up on the Discord as well. I need to figure out how to add a link at the bottom, maybe? Yeah, I'm still learning. But I do have a Discord under Blackfire XIV. And so if you can find me there, that would be amazing. And I will slowly be adding in each episode I do into that so everybody can have the code and enjoy. Thanks for sitting through it. Hopefully I didn't find me too boring. I'm definitely open to any constructive criticism to help make things better. But please enjoy the game. And we'll see you next time. Goodbye for now.